Okay, a couple quick things to mention before we start the show here. First things first, if you didn't catch my post on my channel earlier, this has been a really hard week on my voice. My allergies kicked into overdrive, just wreaked all sorts of havoc all over me, so yeah, my voice has been really cracky. You might have noticed right now. I have to drink a lot, so if there's a lot of cuts, that's what's happening, so I can hopefully talk without my voice completely giving out or just sounding like I'm, gargling sandpaper. Also, yes, I will talk about the Pixar short that aired before this, but I'm going to talk about that in the trailer section. So, if you want to know my thoughts there, that's what it'll be. Alright, on with the show. After a massive storm wipes out their home in the Firelands, Bernie and Cinder make their way to Element City. Unfortunately, they wind up getting sequestered in the section of town known as Firetown, where they can do the least amount of collateral damage. Still, they manage to find out a little bit of a niche, carving out a small but successful little grocery store type place that also serves coffee and other things. After a while, they have a daughter named Ember, and they eventually begin trying to groom her in order to one day inherit the shop. Unfortunately, Ember has one tiny problem. She just can't control her temper very well. All of this gets exacerbated when one of Ember's temper tantrums causes a leak to spring in an overflow spot in one of the city's canals, causing the whole area to flood, including her basement. The flood actually winds up collecting a city inspector named Wade, who is water-based, overly emotional, and notices several citations in the shop that will result in it getting shut down. That being said, both Ember and Wade came up and noticed something about each other, and that they began clicking personally as they worked together feverishly to not only find the source of this leak to prevent any further damage, but also save the shop from being torn down. Even though it seems that water and fire just shouldn't mix, it seems that there's just something elemental between Wade and Ember. And, well, this is elemental. So, yeah, this is obviously a Disney Pixar film. Well animated, I think. Good job representing the various elements. If the idea is they have each of these kind of characteristics, like I said, it seems most of the water people are just really overly emotional because it doesn't take much for them to just begin crying and spraying water all over the place. And obviously, yes, there's also some not so subtle metaphors going on here. The fire people, like I said, are sort of outcasts, like, again, because, they could burn air, they can burn wood, they, get smothered by water, so it's like they can't necessarily interact with the rest of the elements, which also technically aren't elements, but that's a whole other shebang. Yeah, so there's also kind of this analogy that they're sort of several different things all at once, like, they're Irish to an extent, but they're also Jewish, Middle Eastern, Romani, and African American as well. So yeah, there's all sorts of elements in there. They come as immigrants a lot of times. Like, they have to find, a section of town that they just cannot find anywhere else because it's like, they can't go into the air section because, again, they'll cause buildings to explode. They can't go into the wood section because they'll burn things. They can't go into the water section because, again, the water section. I know I'm repeating myself there, but you get the idea. So, yeah, they have to basically section this, they have to section off a quarter of the city for them. They exist there. They have to make a deal to get the water shut off so they don't accidentally have something flood over them. That being said, there's still like a water thing that goes by that spills over the top of the canal. And so occasionally, like, you'll see little rains fall and everything. It's really well animated. Like, the way they do all these things, they can capture emotions in these elements and still do kind of cartoonishly humorous things as well, and poses, and also really intense, gripping, very emotional sequences. Like, this does a really good job of telling these stories. And you do get the idea, too, that there's also kind of a family lineage tradition thing going on, because Wade is someone who apparently did not get along with his father, who died at some point. But ever since then, Wade has tried to connect emotionally with everyone, and because of that, he has the ability to bring out things in people that they don't normally would keep in, or they normally would keep in. And it's because of this that he starts talking with Ember and trying to help her get a harness on her anger, to help her realize what it is that she actually wants out of life. And there's also, with Ember's family, because the storm destroyed their home, they left their homeland, but it was like they left their homeland against the family's wishes. And likewise, very early on in the film, it's also implied that Ember's mother, who was like a fortune teller, is pressuring her to find someone and get hitched as well. So there's like, you have to inherit the store and keep up the family lineage. And, you know, we haven't been back to the old country because we aren't welcome back there anymore because we chose to leave. So, you know, we have to try to make this work. And so when this threat comes that could wind up getting the shop shut down, like I said, so all of this kind of compiles everything. But Wade, you know, stops and, you know, realizes what's going on and does his best to try to help her. And, you know, they negotiate this deal that if you can find the source of this leak, we'll stop your shop from being shut down, but we'll help you fix things so that it can hopefully work. Unfortunately, it's like everything they do to, I'll try to avoid the big spoilers, but yeah, like everything they do to try to get this leak sealed kind of backfires to an extent until Ember discovers a secret idea about herself that makes her finally realize that I have to put the big spoiler here, that she doesn't actually want to inherit her father's shop. And that's the thing that's why she keeps losing her temper, because that's the part of her that says, this isn't what you're meant to do. You know, don't let your parents control your life. You have to be able to live your own life. And so that's where that little aspect is coming from. And as this is happening, obviously she has this growing relationship with Wade, but it's like, this shouldn't be happening, and she doesn't understand it. And even he, to an extent, like, he understands it, that he knows he has feelings for her, but it's like, even he's not entirely sure as to how they're going to deal with it, but they should at least try. He's in the, look, we obviously have something going on here, we need to explore this, you know, and she's still very reticent about it. And so that's where a lot of the tension comes from. So it's not so much a combative will they, won't they, but more of a, you know, when will they? And I will say this, yes, there's a third act breakup. So, you know, it does hit a lot of the numbers, but I do think it hits those numbers very well. Okay, sorry, coughing fit. Anyway, let's see, where was I? Like I said, it hits a lot of the notes you hit in a romantic comedy, but it hits them very well. Like I said, I think this is the first time Pixar's really tackled anything like this. Like, the only other time I could think a romance was sort of central to the plot would be Wall-E. Like, okay, maybe you could argue Ratatouille, but even then, that's like, that doesn't happen until almost 2/3 of the way through the film. And, you know, Incredibles is like the prologue. Up again, it's like the prologue to the story. So yeah, this is the first time where it's like, I think a genuine romance has been the central aspect of the plot. And I do like that they kind of explored that, especially since, you know, you don't normally find rom-coms in the theaters nowadays, so this could be a way to sneak one in under the guise of a Pixar film. But yeah, I think it hits those notes incredibly well. Okay, two things there. Another coughing fit, and I had to look up some of the cast information. But yeah, good performances throughout this by Leah Lewis as Ember, Mamadou Ati, apologies if I mispronounced that, as Wade, Romeo Del Carmen, I think, is the father, or Ember's father, Bernie. it is kind of funny when they get to the when they show them entering. It's kind of like Ellis Island. They're getting their, the passports are all stamped and everything, and it's like, how do you say your names? Okay, we're just gonna call you Bernie and Cinder. There you go. So yeah, good vocal performances throughout all of this. They're not really reliant on celebrity voices, I guess, but good vocal casting throughout this. Good entertaining bits. Like I said, it does a good job telling a great story with some great animation. This is overall a very enjoyable film. I'm going to give Elemental an A. I do think there's nothing too lascivious in this. There's a little bit of ogling in some aspects, but it's very playful ogling. It's not too horrendous. So you can take the whole family, and again, in a time when you don't get too many rom-coms in the theaters anymore, it's a rom-com, so it actually also kind of works as a date movie. So yeah, this works on multiple levels. Elemental gets an A.
1/3 of the smoke detectors in American homes are not working because of dead or missing batteries. In a fire, they'd be worthless. That's why First Alert created the new light test smoke detector. No smoke detector you can buy is easier to test. You don't even have to stand up. Just wave a flashlight at the gold button, and you know it's working. The new light test smoke detector. Only First Alert gives you this extra protection.
Did I forget to invite you to the pool party? Well, maybe next year.
On those occasions when you need to make a big splash, there's the Super Soaker 100. It has a powerful air pressure system.
Oh, Buffy!
A range of up to 60 feet. And a drenching spray. The Super Soaker 100.
It's a water gun of a higher caliber.
Also the 50, or the ultimate, the 200.
Okay, trailer time again, and we got a couple, well, I guess we got one new one. We only had 5 trailers because I had to make way for the little Pixar shorts, so we'll get to those first. First was Migration, that's the new Illumination film. Wish again, Trolls Band Together again, Haunted Mansion again, and Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken again. Migration, it looks funny, it is weird the way they're marketing it, because they're showing all these clips of these other Illumination movies, like, okay, what is this for? Because I thought, oh, they did another Despicable Me movie? No. Okay, so it's like, we brought you Despicable Me. And Minions, which is apparently a whole other film series. It's not, it's technically the same one. Anyway, yeah, so, yeah, just kind of weird. Anyway, yeah, so those are the trailers. Sorry. Anyway, the short, which was Carl's First Date, sequeled up. Carl Fredrickson gets a call from a woman he's interacted with a few times, and has helped get the professor's dogs from Up all adopted, except for Doug, of course, he's with Carl. But Doug talks to one of his friends from there, and it winds up setting up to kind of a date. It's mainly for Carl, but yeah, so he has to kind of be coached back into dating, and he sort of flips out, like he tries to dye his hair, make himself look younger. He tries using Doug to engage in conversation, but it's like Doug doesn't understand any of this. But finally, like at the end, Doug winds up talking him down and saying, just be yourself, and she'll like you for it. She obviously likes you anyway, so yeah, that's kind of, it's a very fun little short, good humor, good pathos. Obviously it's the last performance by Ed Asner, so yeah, obviously very fun. Hopefully that'll pop up on Disney Plus real soon. You can watch it there. I would recommend it. So yeah, that sums everything up there. Next video is going to be the recap and review for the first episode of AEW Collision. We'll get into that, I guess. After that, it's going to be the first part of Marvel's Secret Invasion. That's the theatrical movie is Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. And then we're taking most of July off. And then, like I said, we're only doing 4 more movies this summer. That's about all I can really budget to do right now, unfortunately, unless things change. And after that, I guess, yeah. See you all next time.
Hey guys, remember you can request a movie or a television series for me to review at my Patreon at patreon.com/CPTime for Cat Productions. Also, remember to like the video, comment, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so that you can be alerted to further videos.